When Khanada is gliding in a spawn, he never gets greedy for a specific building. If someone else has a better glide for where he wants to go, he just glides to a different house, even if there's less loot. This is good, as you should not contest someone who has a better glide than you, because they can just land instantly and shoot you out the air, and your game is over. What you should do is, if they get the better house, you are unlikely to have an advantage with loot, so instead, focus on getting an advantage with something such as your materials, and use them to outplay your opponent. Also, another note, this is mainly related to POIs, where a single building drop on the edges of the map, you really just need to focus on having the better glide. Here Khanada does a nice outplay on Nebs. He plays patient and waits for Nebs to jump out on him. Then, when Nebs shoots his gun, Khanada protects himself with a wall and insta-edits, as he knows Nebs will have delay on his shotgun, which Khanada doesn't have. So, he just shoots Nebs and gets an easy kill. It is clear to see Khanada has learned the solo meta so far in this season, and that is because he prioritizes the grappler gun, which is the only rotation item in the game right now. Him having the grappler gun allows him to save mats and rotate safely in endgame. Here is a map of all the grappler gun spawns in the game right now. An important thing that Khanada does that goes towards his success in endgame is making sure he's cap materials for endgame. He especially focuses on getting max metal at the gas station, as metal is less common than other materials to find throughout the map when rotating, whereas brick or wood are everywhere as stones and trees. When Khanada was leaving his POI, he got into a mid-game fight and gets hit for a lot of damage, but luckily for him, Nut gets hit too by a third party and backs down for a bit to heal. So then, Khanada does not tunnel vision on the fight and instead uses this as his chance to back off and go back to Greasy to farm back the cap materials, which shows again how important it is to have as much materials possible going into endgame. Only time you should not go back and focus on your materials is if Storm is moving and you are not close to zone. Why it's so bad is because if you go back and get materials in Storm for you to survive and heal in Storm, you'll have to drop one slot for your white heals or use your floppers you were hoping to save for endgame. Also, it will mess up your momentum and make it way harder for you to get a good position in zone for endgame. For rotating the center third zone, Khanada used a very good strategy, and that was he would do his rotate in steps. So he would go to one bush, stop and scout, then run to another bush, stop and scout again, then run to the building in center zone and base up. The reason he goes in steps is it helps him gain more awareness of where he can get shot from while rotating. This allows him to just use a bit of mats to save all his shields and get the best position in zone. Before half zone pulls, Khanada starts scouting his rotate, and eventually when it does pull, he instantly rotates a bit further in, which is like before on how he does his rotates in steps. Then he uses the grappler gun to get into half zone. So as I said before, the way he is rotating in steps is really useful, and you should definitely implement it into your game. Once Khanada gets into zone, he boxes up in metal. Why you should do this every time you get into zone in endgame is because it makes it 10 times unlikely you will get lobbied, as metal is the strongest material in the game, and also people say you have metal and think you're not scuffed, so it won't be a free kill, so what's the point of spraying? Another way a metal box benefits you is it makes it easier to look for refreshes without someone just suddenly jumping in your box, as the person will have to spend more time pickaxing your wall, and by the time they destroy, you should have heard them before then. If you struggle with getting refreshes in endgame, take a look at how Khanada plays here. He's constantly spraying and looking for refreshes. The only time he isn't is when zone pulls and he has to rotate. Because of Khanada looking for refreshes all the time, he gets an easy kill on his wall when he notices someone on a ramp in the box beside him. If you are low on mats, you should be looking to go onto low ground, but the front side of zone. Khanada goes onto low ground here because he starts running low on materials. Why you should do this is because of you being on the ground, you save more mats because you don't have to build floors, and the players who end up running out of mats will drop onto low ground and will be a free refresh to you because they're just sitting outside your box with no mats and there's nothing they can do. The next step I have for you isn't the new one, it's just again showing how Khanada gets refreshes. Another time he gets a refresh from him being aware and constantly looking for refreshes is when he catches a guy in the back of Storm harvesting through his builds. This allows him to survive a lot longer, as he doesn't have to do a desperate play with no materials. Another thing that Khanada does, which is really easy to not notice, is he's always reloading his guns. This is something I never thought of. I know you need good reload management, but instead it may be just easier to reload all the time, so you don't get in those situations where you die because you had no ammo in your SMG. Only mistake that Khanada makes the entire game is here when he has mats and white heals, but still dies to clicks with no materials. What he should have done is either ran into Storm and played Med Mist until Clicks was forced to go into zone, into open with no mats. Or he could have done a retake to get above Clicks and then push him down onto low ground and kill him by playing high ground angles or peaks. Anyway guys, Khanada is one of the best players in the world, so if you're looking to improve, you should really take all the information from this video and implement it into your own gameplay. For more of these videos to help you become a cracked Fortnite player, like the video, and if you really want, why not subscribe? Goodbye.